morning, everyone. Welcome to day 42 of our 52 days through Nehemiah. This is Christy Birchfield, and today we are looking at Nehemiah chapter 10, verses 28 through 36. They say, "The rest of the people, the priests, Levites, singers, gatekeepers, and temple servants, along with their wives, sons, and daughters, everyone who is able to understand and who has separated themselves from the surrounding peoples to obey the law of God, join with their noble brothers and commit themselves with a sworn oath to follow the law of God, given through God's servant Moses, and to carefully obey all the commands, ordinances, and statutes of the Lord our God. We will not give our daughters in marriage to the surrounding peoples. We will not take their daughters as wives for our sons. When the surrounding peoples bring merchandise of any kind and grain to sell on the Sabbath day, we will not buy from them on the Sabbath or a holy day. We will also leave the land uncultivated in the 7th year and will cancel every debt. We will impose the following commands on ourselves: to give 1/8 of an ounce of silver yearly for the service of the house of our God, the bread displayed before the Lord, the daily grain offering, the regular burnt offering, the Sabbath and new moon offerings, the appointed festivals, the holy things, the sin offerings, to atone for Israel and for all the work of the house of our God. We have cast lots among the priests, Levites, and people for the donation of wood by our ancestral houses at the appointed times each year. They are to bring the wood to our God's house to burn on the altar of the Lord our God, as it is written in the law. We will bring the first fruits of our land and every fruit tree to the Lord's house year by year. We will also bring the firstborn of our sons and our livestock as prescribed by the law, and will bring the firstborn of our herds and flocks to the house of our God, to the priests who serve in our God's house." Remember yesterday, we were talking about all those names, the people who had signed and sealed their commitment to God. Well, today, they didn't just put their name to it. They actually wrote down what they were committing themselves to. So here's we start to see a list of all the things that they're committing themselves to. But there's an interesting phrase that you see in verse 29. They commit themselves with a sworn oath. In some versions it says a curse and an oath. See, when we commit ourselves to God, when we tell God, look, I am all in, I am all yours, whatever you have for me, whatever you want from me, I will do it. There's the good and the bad side to that. And the people of Israel knew that because they had read through their whole history where God had been faithful and they had been wicked. You see, God promised that if the people would be faithful, if the people would follow after him, if the people would make themselves known and be obedient to him, he would be faithful to them, to bless them, to help them defeat their enemies, to give them the things that they need. He would take care of them. But he also said that if they didn't do those things, he would be faithful to bring judgment upon them, to try to turn them back from their evil ways, to help them recognize the sin of the things that they were doing. It would be like a curse to them. When we commit ourselves to God, we need to understand that there's an expectation that God has of us. We're not just committing ourselves to God and then going along our merry way and doing whatever we feel like we should. We're committing ourselves to God in such a way that everything that we do should be following after him. It should be pointing others to him. It should be to glorify God. If we're not doing those things, God is going to continue to be faithful to us. However, his faithfulness will take the form more of discipline to get us back on the right track. It may feel more like a curse, but the commitment that God has toward us never changes. The only thing that changes is how we are responding and what God does to us to help continue to bring about his glory, whether it be through disciplining us or through blessing us. But no matter what we go through, it's about bringing God glory. The people understood that, and they knew what they were committing themselves to. Do we understand? Are we willing to commit ourselves to God, knowing that he's going to do whatever he needs to do to bring about his glory through our lives? Hopefully, it's through our obedience. But if it's through our disobedience, he'll bring about his glory through our discipline. Some strong words for today. but definitely some things to think about as we examine our life and continue moving forward. Thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow.